about some stuff related to business, some stuff related to our faith, and how everything intertwines, because it's definitely a challenge. And I love having people on who've shown me that, you know, they're ready to take on that challenge.
Getting into business, there's lots of like gray areas when it comes to Islam. You have to make that have to align with your morals and your beliefs and our religion. And it's tough, man. It's less about going towards the goal that drives me and more of running away from the old self that I was. Most of the people that are successful, that are highly motivated, they either, you know, use motivation as their factor, or they're just running away from something.
I want to have an effect on the people around me. I want to be remembered for the person I was, not the things that I had. If I'm working on something and I'm reaping all of these benefits, but there's no actual, you know, meaning to the work that I'm doing in terms of promoting something of good value and benefiting people, then it doesn't matter what I get from it. I have to do something that aligns with my values, that promotes something that I believe in, and nobody has the answers all in the beginning, so that's how it goes. It's a process that I'm continuing on working on, and I'm learning as I go. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome back to QadrCast for another episode. We've got an amazing guest, a friend of mine who I recently got to meet in person finally now, Ibraheem Alani. I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody where you're from.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum. Ibrahim Alani. I am originally from Iraq. Live in the DMV area now, and it's a pleasure to be on this podcast.
Amazing, amazing. So, as you guys probably already know, we talk about some stuff related to business, some stuff related to our faith, and how everything intertwines, because it's definitely a challenge. And I love having people on who've shown me that, you know, they're ready to take on that challenge and just encounter everything life has to throw at them in a way that's representative of their strong faith and their will to succeed. Because we're supposed to be highly motivated as young Muslim men, entrepreneurs, do everything in our ability to provide for ourselves and the people around us. So when I see people on that path and with that mindset, it just like, it puts something in me, it motivates me, and it wants me to, you know, learn from it in every way I can. So I'm a student of the game, and I love to learn from people, even if they're in different realms and different fields. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit with you too, because I think you have a similar mindset. How has that mindset been shaped through your community or people around you, or anybody you've worked with, or anybody in your network in general? And yeah, is that something that you think you formed on your own, or is it a combination of both?
A little bit of both, because, you know, getting into business, there's lots of like gray areas when it comes to Islam, as far as if you should bill this person, or if you know, if they said something on the contract and you have to read it between the lines, should you do this, should you do that? So it's a lot of multiple mini decisions that you have to make that have to align with your morals and your beliefs and our religion. And it's tough, man. I mean, there's lots of money that's considered technically haram money that you're not supposed to take, and it'll infect all the rest of the money that you have. So it's definitely tough, but we're in it for the long run, you know. And anybody, if you want to do something haram that's bad, for example, you can easily go and start a business that's unethical and do the wrong things and make a lot of money, but it's just not what we want to do, right?
100%. So going back to that point of the mindset too, I think we kind of diverted from that a little bit. Where do you think that mindset that you have adopted comes from when it relates to how you take on business and why you're so highly motivated to, you know, make money and thrive in this world, when you can follow a path that a lot of people do, which is just like accepting, you know, graduating, getting a job, and going through the motions? Why do you take the path you do? How did that mindset develop, and where did that come from? Was it internal, external, or a combination of both?
Definitely a combination of both. It's less about going towards the goal that drives me, and more of running away from the old self that I was. So, you know, they did an experiment. I always talk about this with a mouse, and they put a mouse at the front of the maze, and then they put a cheese at the very end of the maze too. Yeah. And the mouse, it took its sweet time going through the maze to get the cheese. And then they did another experiment where they put a cat behind the mouse, and it went through the maze quicker. So oftentimes in life, if you want to reach your goals faster, most of the people that are successful, that are highly motivated, they either, you know, use motivation as their factor, or they're just running away from something somewhere. They want to prove to themselves something is possible. And then the toughest part about being an entrepreneur is after you reach that level where you've gone to the end of that maze, you get to a point where it's like, now what? Now what do I do?
Yeah.
So for me, I want to say it's just been trying to prove my old self wrong, trying to prove other people wrong, And then, you get to a point where you stop wanting to prove people wrong because internally you know that you're the one that's doing it. And all that matters is how you feel about yourself and what you think. I want to say that's the motivation, but I also want to ask you the same question. I mean, what motivates you? What gets you up in the morning, if I even want to ask that? And I guess what keeps you going?
Yeah, you said a couple things that it resonates with me. I think my mindset is similar in it, and I was gonna piggyback off of that when you said what you were saying actually resonates with me because I wanted to piggyback off of that point you were talking about with the maze, in that I always say that people are often more motivated by fear than by desire. And I would like to say that I'm different, but if I'm honest with myself, I think it's a combination of both for sure. Like if we look at it in akhirah sense, we can think about our motivations being getting into Jannah, or our motivations can be avoiding Jahannam. And if we look at it in a dunya sense, we can say our motivations can be making all this money and having all the wealth so we have ease in our affairs, or it could be a fear of poverty because it's going to be so difficult on us. And I honestly think in the dunyawi sense, as well as maybe the akhirah sense as well, the fear is a strong motivator because, and I don't think it's
Fear from Allah.
Yeah, of course. And in the dunyawi sense, fear from the way that the world will punish you, right? The world punishes people who don't work hard.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because maybe unlike some other entrepreneurs and people in this space, I didn't get into it from an addiction of fast cars and luxury and houses and watches and these things. They are cool, and there's definitely an appeal for that. And I'm human like anybody else, and I find appeal in it. But the appeal isn't so strong to me to the point of like wanting to place everything above that, and or wanting to place that as my pedestal or my end goal, right? I think my end goal is something deeper. I want to have an effect on the people around me. I want to be remembered for the person I was, not the things that I had. And my motivations come a lot from the background that I had in music when I was involved in that, because when I was doing that, I felt like I had everything that I wanted and desired at my fingertips. I'd worked many, many years, countless hours to get all of that. Mm-hmm. And then at the point where I started starting to reap the fruits of my labor, I noticed that if it was without barakah in the work, it was essentially pointless and it was purposeless, right? If I'm working on something and I'm reaping all of these benefits, but there's no actual, meaning to the work that I'm doing, in terms of promoting something of good value and benefiting people, then it doesn't matter what I get from it. So a lot like you were saying, I can't just take a check for doing some work. I have to do something that aligns with my values, that promotes something that I believe in and that is morally correct and stands with my beliefs, and also that I enjoy doing. So I think I've been starting to find that with doing content, with personal branding, with working on my projects from Qadr cookies to the clothing, with working on the podcast as well, QadrCast, and everything that I'm doing. I think it's in this beautiful ecosystem that's promoting da'wah through the businesses, like the clothes, I call it faith-based fashion, and everything is also forming in a way where I'm finding out ways that by connecting the dots, I can make it into a profession that's, profitable and everything too. So inshallah, I think it's a process that I'm continuing on working on, and I'm learning as I go, but nobody has the answers all in the beginning. So that's how it goes. But yeah, when you talked about that example with the maze, I thought that was really interesting, because a lot of people are motivated only when they see, okay, there's repercussions and consequences for if I don't take this path, because otherwise I think a lot of people have that mindset where they're just coasting through life and doing whatever, and then bam, something happens and that changes everything for them. They're like, whoa, like if I keep going down this path, this could be bad, right? Mm-hmm. Either it's somebody who's involved in a bad lifestyle, or it's somebody who's just seeing like the effects of their laziness and their lack of work ethic. So I wanted to transition and talk about that too. Was there a moment for you that you felt like really sparked your journey of entrepreneurship and wanting to get into this phase, this hustle mindset, right? Mm-hmm. Or was it something just kind of gradually formed over time? What do you think really was that spark? What do you think really was that spark and that thing that caused you to start your journey?
Yeah, I always say this. So started off, I'm 25 years old now. I started off when I was 22, started my first ever business, 6 businesses after that, all of them failed. And the transition period for me was when I saw the top guy at our company, who was my boss at the time, and he was, driving an old BMW, super stressed. And I'm like, if this is the best that I can do, and with all due respect, right? What a shame. That's not what I want to be. And some people are happy like that. I always say, don't, just because I make all these videos online and I talk about what should happen and what shouldn't happen, don't listen to me. You're doing better than I am if you're at a place where you're happier in life and you have everything that you need.
Peace and contentment.
Yeah, if you're more content than I am, congrats, you won, right? I would just like to do more. I think there's a longer journey to what I'm doing. Other people find contentment in other things, and go for that. But for me, I wasn't content in what I was doing, and the transition period for me was seeing that and being like, you know what, I'm just gonna do my own thing and see what happens. And so I was in the cubicle, and I'd have my laptop. I'd have 2 laptops, my personal and my work, and I'd be working on my personal laptop, creating like lead lists, figuring out ways to start marketing to people. And the first business failed. Again, 6 businesses later, I have my 7th one, which is Omni AI. We're about to exit that company now. And then we started a venture studio / private equity consulting firm where we now acquire businesses, help them scale. And a lot of the work we're doing is just, again, working with people and sort of building up that community, sort of close to what you're doing as well in the Islamic community. And it's powerful. The biggest driver was less about helping myself and more about helping people around me and my family, right? So the thing that I was running away from is providing my future wife, for example, with the desired life. Even if she may not want it, it feels good for you to provide. It feels better to give than to get.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of my motivator. But then, afterwards, once you start to get to that level and start to get to that point, it becomes about everybody else and it becomes less about you.
Yeah. Right? It's funny. I wanted to interject if I can, because I heard the same sentiment from a lot of people. I know, Omar Rashid, when I was talking to him in our interview, he was mentioning a lot of those same sentiments, which is like, it becomes less about you, it's more about other people. And when that's your driving factor, it's just like the motivation's on a different level. Because I feel like as men, we're able to withstand a lot. We're able to just innately, biologically, the way we're created, we are a little bit less emotional and these things. Like, we have emotions, of course, but there's more perseverance and more ability to withstand the hardships of life. Whereas women and children, in that sense, they're not as able to, deal with some of these hardships. So because of that, our motivating factor should be not having to test them with having our level of fortitude for hardship in these situations. So definitely working hard to provide for them, that being a big factor. And also you mentioned earlier, which now it's I'm reminded of it. You said that you wanted to prove people wrong. And I think it's really funny because a lot of people, I think, start in that mindset where they're like, okay, he said this, she said that, my family's saying this, my friends are saying this. And even if they want the best for you, a lot of people, they do want good for you, but they still are just constantly chattering and chatting and commenting on everything that's going on. And you feel like, okay, I need to prove this person wrong because they don't know what I'm capable of, right? Then you start to do it and they're like, okay, I mean, their expectations were here and you surpassed and you went here, but you're like, if I'm really capable of getting here at this amount of time, where else could I take it, right? So then it always transitions to, I don't want to prove them wrong. I want to prove myself right now and see how much farther I can take it. So, I mean, even again, when I was in other ventures, I was always thinking about how can I prove these people wrong? And then I realized, I was like, bro, their expectations are so low. The way they think is actually very small. And the way I think is very large, so I shouldn't be even concerned with their expectations. And another side of it is, if you work so hard to try to please people, it'll never end, because you're never going to be able to please everyone, right? Yeah. So we focus on pleasing the Creator. If everything we're doing is in line with our values and we're doing something that's pleasing to Allah in the business that we do, in prioritizing the things that matter in our faith, then what people say couldn't possibly matter, right? They say also that everybody on the earth could love you and Allah could be displeased with you, and the vice versa could be the case too. Everybody on earth could hate you, could just be displeased with you, and your creator could be very pleased with you. So it doesn't matter, essentially, it doesn't matter what people think of you. It matters who you truly are and what's behind the mask and the disguise and everything that's on social media. Yeah. Another thing we could talk about also, which is like with your presence on social media, how do you try to approach that, formulate that? Do you try to put out a different persona on there? Because I definitely know about like when you're coming from like an industry of music and different things, like you're playing a part. It's a character that you're putting out there so people can subscribe to it and say, hey, like, you know, oh, he dresses like this and he has this vibe to him and like, you know, they want to become like, it's like a movie character, right? And they're drawn towards that. So do you try to portray like this business character, this kind of like this front to people that, which I wouldn't say is wrong or right, I'm just saying, or do you go more of the path of saying like, this is my authentic self, and if people buy into it, they buy into it. If not, then it's okay. Like, I'm going to be me. Yeah. So what's your approach with branding yourself on social media? How do you approach that?
Yeah. So as far as branding goes, I used to put on a front, and I'll be very transparent. Back when I had a lot less money than I do now, I used to flex cars, I used to flex watches, I used to do it, like, I had friends that had money. I didn't have money myself. Yeah. Right. So I would do everything to try to prove to the world that I was this
you made it
creature, right? That I made it. And it's not that I didn't make it. I had the ideas of what it would look like to make it. However, I didn't actually have the things. And so you sort of get to a point, at least in my opinion, like I sort of got to a point where I just had to stop doing that. And now that everything is going well, I have people in my comment section, till this day, by the way, that are, you know, commenting saying, oh, bro, you still drive this old car, or you still do this, you still do that. And it's like, I can very easily send them a picture and be like, look, you know, and I could show them some crazy things, but I choose not to. Yeah. You know, like, because if they're down here, as far as like, you know, their level and their intelligence, if you want to call it that, and I'm like here, let's just slightly above, a little bit more, a little higher. The second I start to flex and show off and try to show them something that I'm not, I'm bringing myself lower than that, right? So and from a branding perspective, the guys that have really gotten to a point where they can afford these things, they don't care for them.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's how it works. You show it off when you want to prove to people that you have it or you could have it. And then once you've already shown yourself, then you're content. Then it's like, what's the point? I don't care if you think I have it or if I don't have it. A lot of these guys who have a lot of wealth walk around in a t-shirt and slacks because it doesn't really matter to them. Why put on a really expensive suit all the time just to show people, like, you know, you can. There's nothing wrong with being presentable and everything, but it's just like more of like having contentment with yourself and realizing that, you know, what does their opinion really matter at the end of the day to what I'm doing.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot more impressive when I speak to somebody who doesn't spend all the money in the world. They have the money, but they'd rather invest that money somewhere else to make them more money. And it's a lot more impressive when I talk to someone, they're like, okay, this is what I did to scale my business, and this is the revenue that I got to from here to here. This is the percentage of growth that we got to. That to me is a lot more impressive than here's a car. Like, okay, good for you. Yeah. Right. You know, so it can mean anything, right?
But most of the more successful people I've talked about have echoed the same sentiments, and it's like it really shows you. It's like, okay, if they're all saying this, then I need to realize that once I make it, it's going to be the same thing. But I guess when you're young and in the beginning, a lot of people think they're like, no, like it's all about the flashiness, the glitz and the glamour. But
and the guys that are still at that level, I'm not saying there's no people that have money that don't spend all the money in the world and try to show off, but those that get there, they have nothing else after. Like, we have al-Akhirah, we have heaven. Those that are not religious and those that are not as close to Islam as you know they should be, they don't have anything after that.
Yeah, they feel like they have to go all in this dunya, right?
Yeah. I'll give you an example.
All in.
Yeah, my co-founder, Jordan, he bought a McLaren 2 weeks ago, 720S. Spent all the money in the world on it. Came back to me and he, like, I could almost sense, and I'll say this to his face too, I could almost sense that he feels like there's still something missing, but he doesn't know what. Yeah. And like, I want to go to him and be like, Quran, here you go, sir. Right? But you know, I know if I do that, he'll you know, I'll be trying to sell him and he'll have his guard up. But that's what it is, you know, for us.
It's more than the dunya. It's not going to fulfill you. But let me ask you some questions now about back on entrepreneurship. What really made you realize that traditional route wasn't for you? Did you ever like consider that path of like school, job? and then
No,
family.
I already graduated.
Yeah.
You're forced into it if you're aero, bro.
Yeah, of
you
course.
know how it works.
Yeah. I think we're in the same spot.
100%, dude. I graduated, and it's like, all right, get a job. And then I graduated with a degree in cybersecurity. I never worked in cyber. And, you know, like, again, I was just working with 2 laptops at my job doing, 50% work, 50% this business. And I got fired for doing that. And they told me to pretty much not come back. So they did like a 1 week, hey, we'll see how you do, why are you not doing what you're supposed to be doing?
Because you were half in and half out, basically in the business and also in your stuff. But that's what I'm saying. I feel like even at that point, you knew that it wasn't for you, but you were kind of doing it just to maintain get some bread and put it into the business. So what about rewinding before that? When did you really, like you said, there were 6 businesses in the last, how many years?
Since 2022.
Since 2022, so like 3 years now, almost 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that time frame when you were starting off, is that when you realized that the traditional route wasn't for you, or was it long before that and that was when you started taking the action?
Damn, you're getting deep, bro. So it was
we would love to do that.
Dude, it was way before that. So it's funny. We were talking before the podcast for you guys watching, and I was telling you how I was doing music for a while.
Crazy.
Before music, okay, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be the next Drake, but then you see the scene and it's like all this house stuff and you don't want to get into it. Before that, I was doing YouTube videos. So there's always something where it's like, okay, work is here. I always have this route, but what if there's this other thing that works?
You were a lot like me. You just always had these creative endeavors. You wanted to do something where it's like I'm my own boss and I'm on my own timing, and it's just something to create something.
But I didn't have enough knowledge to know what that thing would be.
What's the algorithms with YouTube? What hits with music? And then you're going through the different,
I didn't get that deep into it. I just said post funny videos, right? And then that's when I got sort of into business. And funny enough, the first ever company that I started was a 3D pencil company. I don't even want to call it a company. I didn't build it. It was just a drop shipping store, right? So I worked with this guy back in 2022. It's like a 3D pen where you like draw a stick figure or whatever it is, and it becomes like almost like a toy. We never sold anything, okay? But the person who I was working with sort of got me into business. He was a really close friend of mine at the time.
He gave you a taste of that.
He gave me a taste of that, and I was like, damn, I want to start a new store. Then we started another store, and then it failed, and then we started like a third store, I think.
Can you run through them if you don't mind? Like, what was the second, third, fourth?
If I remember. So the first one was that 3D pencil. The second one was like what's it called? Like a cleanser, almost like a brush where you put on your face.
Okay.
The third one was the Market Hawk, which was when I first got into my agency.
What was it?
The Market Hawk. So it was like a marketing agency that does ads. By the way, knew nothing about ads, knew nothing about business. I've never run an ad in my life.
Like everybody who starts off.
Right, knew nothing. And I was like, yeah, I'll just hire some guy and I'll do it and whatever. And then you
figure it out as you go.
Yeah, but then you get into this phase where it's like, I'm going to do it. And then you start doing it and you're like, wait, this is really hard. This is more difficult than I thought it would ever be. And then, that transitioned into, there was a business model by the name of employee retention credit. So you'd work with the government to provide companies during COVID that had employees that weren't working during COVID. You provide them with compensation through the government. So I started doing that for a little while. And then there was like 2 others somewhere in the middle, and I can't remember exactly what they were, but they were ideas that we started on that never materialized.
I feel like they got more and more like legitimate as they went, right? It started off as like, I'm making like a toy, and now you're working with like government and all these things. So it's like you started realizing that, okay,
and
where
like
can I take
every
it?
like 2 months you'd have like this business idea. I call it the some people call it the girl in the red dress, like
shiny object syndrome. Shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, and it's like I have friends that do that till this day.
Yeah,
where I'm just like focus on one thing.
Lock in.
And that's like, for me, if I had to learn one lesson about building and scaling any business, it's you have to choose one solution, one target audience, one channel. And then once you figure this out, then you can start to expand.
Right.
And don't have more than one business until you figure one business out. Because I always talk about this. You have your passive hours and you have your active hours.
Yeah.
So once you maximize your active hours, however much you can do, then start looking at passive hours rather. So you can say, can I hire this person?
People start looking at the passive hours before they focus on the active hours, and they're messing 100%. Up the schedule. Yeah. And I think that in almost all things in life, we learn the hard way. Life is designed that way. We're not supposed to just like know the answers beforehand. We have to fall off the bike and bruise ourselves to realize this is how you have to balance. That's the way we take the training wheels off when we start going. And I don't think I've talked to anybody in business that's not had the same story where they had like 5 at least 10 businesses where they failed, and then they came up off of that and they realized, okay, this is the thing I want to lock in on, and then they started grinding it. But they didn't realize that they had shiny object syndrome, and it's hurting them, and that they have to lock in until they felt like until they experienced it themselves, right? So I was thinking about it, and I'm like, bro, like everybody I've talked to, it doesn't matter. Like now they're locked in one industry or maybe two, right? And they're focused on everything you talked about. But in the beginning, it was like jumping from idea to drop shipping to e-com to this thing to that thing. So I think it's just part of the experience. So like I know when you're giving this advice, if somebody's watching, hopefully they can take it and say, okay, let me lock in the thing that I'm doing. But if they're gonna jump from business to business, I don't think it's a terrible thing. I don't blame them, because you're getting you're getting your feet wet, you're getting that experience, and especially if you're young and you have a little bit of time, it's not a bad idea to just like try things and then just see what your interest is and see what sticks. Because if you didn't do YouTube or music or these other different ventures, then I feel like you wouldn't maybe have gotten to see, okay, is this for me? Is it not? Do I enjoy doing this, right?
Yeah.
And maybe even when you did YouTube in the past and you're just making funny videos, right? You got to a point now where, okay, now you're serious about your business, you're pushing it and you're locked in on it, but you find out, okay, wait, I could bring in more clients through YouTube. And then you tap back into that old passion, right? But now you're approaching it with a different lens as a grown man and with a plan and knowledge of ads and marketing and things like that. So there's a lot of ventures or even what I wouldn't call them ventures, hobbies that I was involved in the past that I think like, you know what, I'm glad that I just did that to do it. So, I'm the type of person, I'll travel somewhere just to travel there, just to see the world, right? And I think having these experiences and diving into things just for the sake of like seeing if you like it or not is really that's important.
And in my opinion, if you're between your 20s and 30s and you want to start a business and you want to have the lowest friction / lowest risk approach possible, get a sales job. Start selling something, or get a job where you're managing a smaller team, let's just say, so you're more involved in the day-to-day. And then once you figure out what that thing is that you're really good at selling, figure out how to get clients for it. Right. Figure out what they're doing.
I want to ask you, when you were at that job, you could get into a little bit of what you were working on, but when you were balancing, you said you had 2 laptops out and you're splitting time between the two. What was that like when you finally left? Or were you fired, or did you choose to leave? Yeah, so what was that like when you finally were fired, and how was that process? Like, how did you take it emotionally, mentally? Yeah. Was it hard? What was that process like?
So I used to go into the office 1 time per week, 1 to 2 times per week.
Okay, remote job mainly.
Mostly remote job, and that's why I took it, right? So when I was at the cubicle, we signed our first ever client, and I remember exactly the name of the client, how much they paid us till this day, and I was jumping up and down. I was like, this is it, I'm gonna be rich, whatever. 3-4 months after, we signed a couple more clients through LinkedIn, I think at the time, and I got to a point where I was 50-50 with my business partner. I got to a point where I was making, let's say, a couple grand. Nothing that's crazy, not what I was making in my job at all.
You were seeing some potential.
But I was seeing some potential. And so I got a call from the boss, and he pretty much said, hey, we're going to put you on a PIF, pretty much. I think they call it PIF.
Paid in full.
Yeah, no, not paid in full. What's the term? It's not paid in full. When they see how your performance is for the next, let's say, couple weeks. So he was like, yeah, we're going to see how your performance is, and we'll see how you do.
They're just monitoring your KPIs and just seeing.
Pretty much, yeah, in the next couple weeks. And then I get a call maybe 4 days after saying, hey, you're gone, right? So they let me go a little bit earlier because I just wasn't doing the work as good as I wanted to. And, I got left sort of in the middle. So do I want to find another job and sort of secure myself some money, essentially, or do I want to go all in on this business? And so I went all in on the business. And my mother knew, nobody else in my family knew. So I kept it a secret. I was like, yeah, I'm working on my degree, I'm doing this. Because in my household, it's a pretty big deal. Like, you graduated, you're doing this.
What's next?
Yeah. Like, are you working with your degree? Did you work
we know
this
how
hard?
it is.
Right, so I kept it a secret for a while. Long story short, I was taking money from the business, putting it in my bank account. Look, here's what I made from my job, right? So I wasn't actually working. And then, slowly but surely, we started to generate that revenue. And then Omni at the time and Yarn, my co-founder, they pretty much saved me at the time. Yeah. So it was just a pretty crazy story.
So did you struggle with like a fear when pivoting from one path to the other? Did it feel natural? Like, how was that? internal conflict, if there was any? Or did it kind of feel like, this is what I was meant to do?
It never feels natural. Because if you're growing, it'll never feel natural. There's always going to be something weird or changing. And dude, I struggle with fear to this day. Like
growing pains.
Growing pains, yeah. And like, did I struggle with fear? I mean, again, till this day, I still struggle with fear. Like, what's going to happen? And it's less of a fear and more of like look, I'm good now. But you always have something in your mind where it's like, what if
it messes up?
What if it messes up? What if whatever? And you just kind of have to shut that down.
And that's what your family and the people around you have too, right? That's their fear. When they ask, why are you not going to the job route? It's because security, right? So how did your family react when you changed direction towards business and marketing? You said only your mom.
When the money was coming in, or when the money wasn't coming in?
Well, of course, when the money wasn't coming in. We can get to
Okay, when the money wasn't coming in, it was like, where's the money? When the money came in, I didn't hear anything. So, yeah.
Do you feel like entrepreneurship is something you chose or something that chose you?
Damn, that's a crazy question. I'd say something I chose. You don't just wake up one day and a business chooses you. You got to choose the thing and make it work. It's like saying, I'm going to choose 5 different businesses and see which one works. Like, no, you just take one that you think is going to work and you make it work.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question. When you take on a new client or venture, what indicators instantly tell you this is worth my time?
If they have a sales team and if I genuinely believe that we can help them scale their business. The thing about marketing companies is, and the biggest problem with marketing companies, one, they're not niched, and it's really hard to help everyone. Like, it should be a complete red flag if there's a company out there that's not specific to you and you're gonna work with that company, if you're choosing a marketing company. And then secondly, if you don't have a good enough sales team, or you've never sold something before, or you suck at sales and all of your business comes through word of mouth, then don't market. Like, do not, like, figure out another way. It's more likely not gonna work. And the companies that marketing works for the most is when marketing companies come in and just plug themselves in to the existing infrastructure that company has, and it works. So basically, what I'm looking to hear is, how many sales calls do you guys take every month? How many salespeople do you have? How much revenue do you guys generate, net new revenue per month? And if all these things align, all we do is just add more fuel to the fire using marketing. So that's kind of like the threshold for me, essentially.
And that's in relation to GBV? That's
in relation to Omni. Grow Big Ventures is any business that I know how to get leads for and I know how to close deals for. That's the businesses that we're doing.
Okay, and so the main people you're working with in Omni, or maybe both, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to understand it, is marketing agencies?
No, Omni, we're working with tech companies. Grow Big Ventures, we have a couple of agencies that we're working with, but primarily what we want to do is 2 things. Either invest in businesses that we know how to scale, and then we scale them, and then we keep a profit share on a monthly basis, or we just incubate the business ourselves. So. One example I'll give you of that is a staffing company by the name of Wright Works that we worked with them to create a new business called Growth Bridge. So we have a percentage in that business. We're doing all the marketing. We have investors. They're doing everything themselves as far as like finding the staff to staff inside of companies. And we help them go from pretty much zero to about $100,000 per month. It's not really reoccurring. It's a one-time fee, but from 0 to 100K this month. Just from email marketing, for example.
So what I'm trying to understand is you work with businesses in a whole bunch of different niches and fields. Mm-hmm. And what you come in and do is?
We do the RevOps. So we go in, we hire the salespeople. We basically fix problems and create more problems to fix. I'll put it that way. And
okay, so that's what you meant by when you say RevOps.
Yeah, so the main problem that we fix is getting clients and then creating the process to close the deals after these prospects.
So that's the lead generation, which comes from LinkedIn, that's Omni.
Which is also Grow Big Ventures. So Grow Big Ventures does the same thing.
They're kind of like hand in hand?
Yeah, so Grow Big Ventures, essentially, there's 2 sides to Grow Big Ventures. There's the marketing side, which is we take on clients and we do marketing for them. So we do primarily LinkedIn and email marketing. We're starting up SEO. Right. And the other side is the holdings company. So it's the venture studio side where we incubate businesses. And what we do is and it's 2 different LLCs. What we do is, let's say we're working with a company and we want to have the best results possible. We take a percentage in that business, then we contract out the marketing department to go in and create that process there in-house to
Right.
that business. So then we don't need to, continuously provide that service monthly.
So you have your marketing side of things that's taking the sales calls and that's doing all the things you were talking about. So when I asked you the question about what indicators instantly tell you this is worth my time, you mentioned that you're looking at how many sales calls are they taking and what are they involved in, all these different things. So I'm trying to understand.
So that's assuming that it's a company that we want to go after. So the main two things really that we ask ourselves is how scalable is it and how large is the total addressable market, the TAM.
Yeah.
So, if it's a company that hands out newspapers, that's not very scalable. So we have to do our own research to see if it's a company that we want to invest in ourselves, essentially. And, if we do our research and we find out, we can scale this business, then there's a higher chance that we take that on than a company that we've never tried before. So to give you an example, we work with a fintech company. So we took them from 70 to 350 per month, give or take. That's a project that I'm not even involved in. My co-founder is involved in, and they're doing everything there. We work with a staffing business. We work with a business builder program. So Caleb, he owns the company DCS International. We win a percentage in that one. I'm out of the day-to-day completely. We scaled their sales team and we left. So it's companies that have a high ticket offer that sell to other businesses primarily that are super niched. That's what we essentially work with.
I was just trying to understand that it's like, I understand that if they have a high ticket offer, you're interested in it. When you're asking them like what's their volume of outreach and their sales calls and all those things, but I'm also thinking, isn't that where you guys come in and you start scaling that and getting involved with that? So it's like you're asking that basically to see like how can you scale it, but it's not really a concern if they're like at a low volume. That's not necessarily a bad thing because it's about the potential in the service of the product that they have right now, right?
So it's less like providing a service and more of like us going internally in that business and building that department in-house. So they're not paying crazy prices to agencies because I'm an agency, right? We get, like for example, to run 100,000 emails per month, it'll cost them, I don't know, let's say between $3,000 to $4,000. It costs us $600, $700 for the same exact volume because we have connections, we have the volume. So we'd go in and give them a massive discount and build a team that actually manages this all for them and get them out of the day-to-day. Our job is to go into businesses and get the CEO out, essentially.
Yeah.
Or as close to out as possible.
You're taking that workload off of them, so you can say. So has this always been the structure of the businesses that you're working on right now, or did Omni and GBV kind of transition into what they are now?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of accidentally built it into a marketing company,
Right.
Big Ventures. So we sort of accidentally built our marketing side because it's a lot easier to say, let me run some marketing for you, as opposed to saying, let me take a percentage in your business or let me take some equity. So, with that being said, we sort of accidentally started to build that side because we'd go in and we'd say, hey, I can help you scale your business, give me some equity. A lot of people don't know us. They don't trust us. They don't like us.
They're like, who are you and why should I trust you? Why should I give you my money?
Exactly. So what we started to do is we started to raise money and invest into other businesses. And this is something that we're doing as we speak. It's very new. However, the way forward is very clear. So what we want to do is we want to incubate businesses and we want to take on about 3 to 4 businesses per year. Like businesses that we bring on, that we scale, that we get ourselves out, and then we bring in a CEO to manage that business. And we become the board, essentially.
That's amazing. So what is the biggest mindset shift that you think took you from just hustling to actually building a real business?
Yeah, there's 3 things to building a real business that I think every single entrepreneur needs to learn. And the first thing is the talent, the people that you have around you.
For sure.
The volume. Okay. And then leverage. So if you have talent but you don't have leverage, you're not going to scale the business. If you have volume but you don't have the talent, you're not going to scale the business.
Does leverage not come from the other two?
Leverage comes from, when I say leverage, I don't mean just other people. It comes from the other two as well, right? But I don't just mean other people. I mean like systems that run themselves as well.
A lot of people
like
in business, I
tools.
think, hate the word systems.
Yeah.
Because it's just like kind of fluffy. What do you mean by it when you say it?
Okay, I'll give you an example. How about a AI that's able to do research on your prospect and reach out to them in a personalized way and book a call with them without you lifting a finger?
Systems means saving time.
Systems means saving time
Efficiency.
and saving money, essentially. So you can have all these things, and that's the way to leverage the business. And so the main sort of like aha moment for me was, you know, if you're sending 10,000 emails per month, send 100,000. Okay, and you're getting volume. A return on investment.
That's
volume, right? And then it's like combine that with A plus level talent people. So one example I'll give is Leon. So we found somebody in South Africa. We've been working with him for a few months. He does everything, dude. I don't even know what's going on half the time. He calls me. I gave him a credit card. Okay, here's the clients. Okay, Yarden, even one of our co-founders, doesn't even know who the clients are.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point that it's gotten to, where it's like talent, like A plus level. This person can run the whole business without me if he had to.
Yeah.
And he did. That's currently what he's doing.
So is there a hierarchy to it? You mentioned the three aspects of the success, which is your talent, your output, and your leverage. Is there a hierarchy to it, or an order to it, a chronological order? Is it all just hand in hand happening at the same time?
It has to go all hand in hand. So again, leverage is the most essential aspect. And when I say leverage, I mean like you can either go, and this is, you know, the most basic example, you can either go send 10,000 emails manually, or you can leverage a tool to send 10,000 emails in a day, right? And so when I speak about leverage, that's essentially what I mean.
100%. How do you decide which opportunities to chase and which to ignore? Because I know you talked about a little bit if this is really worth my time or not, but this is related to it in that I feel like not every opportunity that could be worth your time is one that you pursue.
It's a tough question because I also don't know.
Yeah.
Right? I also don't know. So the easiest way to get our answer is to try it. If we have a good idea, if there's people that we can reach out to who we believe that we can sell, and we do the research as well, we have to validate it, we have to test it, we gotta make sure it works. If it works and I'm able to sell it, then I just bring on a bunch of salespeople, do a crap ton more volume, and then, you know, make it into a business, essentially.
But in that process of researching to see if you can actually sell it and all these things, is it viable, does that not take a good amount of time you could be spending with your other clients, time you could be spending doing different outreach? Like, is that not wasted time, do you think? Or
yes, however, everything, that's why I said bring on A-level talent, because a lot of the stuff in the day-to-day I don't do. I don't talk to clients, I don't manage clients, I don't jump on calls with clients, I'm not on sales. The only
what do you do?
Exactly, bro. Exactly. No, I think I'm like, okay. It's funny. So yesterday I was hanging out with Zayn, my co-founder, and we sort of just built a business using a tool. No, I don't know about casually.
On a Thursday.
Yeah, I was on a Friday actually. So we just kind of sat down. Saturday today. Yeah.
Dude.
I know. So we sat down and we just kind of built that business, and that's why I'm saying like this is the definition of passive hours, where it's like, dude, I had my knee surgery about a month now ago. I was in the surgery room and I was stressing because we had a couple systems go down, so I was stressing. I told Leon, I was like, go figure it out. Leon is our COO. I went to sleep. For next week, I was out almost because I was on pain medication and stuff like that. And I was able to say, okay, my business can run without me.
Yeah. I mean, this is the end goal for a lot of people, is just make something that's a well-oiled machine that is like, if I step away from it, it doesn't collapse because I'm holding everything up constantly. That's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure that if you have to always like be working on that.
Yeah, and to get to that point, what you need is just a team that takes initiative without you. So a team that thinks about ideas and creates these ideas. I'll use Leon again as an example. So our COO, essentially what he does pretty often is he says, here's the problem, here's how we can save money for the business. I contacted this guy, I'm interviewing this guy, he gave us this system, approval. And then we give him approval for the budget to continue that project. Like one thing that we're doing is we had a developer come in and build a system to scrape leads for us really cheaply. I wasn't even involved in that process. He just called me, he's like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm like, great, okay, approved, let's go.
So what would you, real quick, define your role as now, as it stands? Like, you're just overseeing operations, you're kind of the director of operations?
I'm more ops. I mean, it just kind of naturally comes this way. So we have Zayn, who's really good at sales, and he's sort of like managing the sales team. Everyone is doing something small, And any task that's repetitive that needs to be done more than once, we just bring somebody to do it. And somebody who's good, right?
A professional, you get an expert in the field.
Yeah, and people often cheap out, so they'll hire people, and I'm not saying this is bad, you can hire A-level talent from the Philippines, but people often cheap out and they get the cheapest thing ever to get the highest profits possible. But in my opinion, I think the longer that you delay your profit, the higher that your profit will be after.
That's a clip.
So like, what I told Zayn this, and I called him like, dude, I'm okay by not making $0 in the next 6 months. Let's just put everything back into the business. And if you do that, what are the chances that your business doesn't grow?
Yeah, that's fire. What systems, routines, or structures keep your business running even when you're not fully hands-on?
Oh, that's a crazy question. There's a lot. On the sales side, like we have, a person to qualify the prospect, to take the intro calls, like an SDR. Then we have a closer. Shout out Ty. We just hired him, by the way. He's crazy good. He takes the closing calls. So we have that on the sales side. Then we have automation systems that do all the marketing for us. We send a lot of messages. If you get a message on LinkedIn, somebody selling you something, it's probably me. We send a lot of messages on LinkedIn, a lot of messages on email. And then we just have people all day just responding to prospects, getting them on appointments with our team.
Your setters.
Our setters, essentially, yeah. And then operationally, again, we have like onboarding forms. We have even offboarding forms when a client leaves, what happens. We have tracking sheets. We have account managers that manage the clients. We have project managers that manage the account managers. Then we have our head of customer success who manages the project managers who manage the account managers. And there's just like this whole entire hierarchy.
The ecosystem.
Yeah, and we have an onboarding manager whose only job is to onboard the clients. And it's like the more specific the better that they can get.
Of course.
And something that most people don't talk about when it comes to building teams is like, okay, let's say you bring on a person, they're not that good, or let's say you bring in 5 people and you're building a team to help you. What'll end up happening is, in the long run, everyone will be smarter because they start teaching each other things, as opposed to you bringing one person to do the job and you're their only source of knowledge. So they're just going to naturally get better. If I sit back and do nothing, my team will continuously get better.
Yeah. That's the psychology with building a team. You mentioned that you have an amazing closer. Do you prefer to have one over several? A lot of people, I think, have taken that approach, depending on the volume and the scale of your business, but having a lot of setters and one closer because he's the guy that gets the job done, and you don't want like leaks, and you don't want shrinkage.
Yeah, I think if you have the lead volume, the more salespeople that you have, the better, because you can only qualify so hard. What I mean by that is, like, let's say I reach out to you. I'm like, hey, I can help you scale your agency. I can help you scale your business model. Answer 20 questions that qualify you. What are the chances that you're going to book that call? A lot less, right? As opposed to saying, hey, I'd love to collaborate with you. Maybe we can sit down and chat together and have a virtual coffee. At that point, you have a higher chance of booking that call.
Yeah, you get them into the call and into the conversation.
Right, but then the chances are that you're going to close is a lot less because you have less intent because you didn't fill out this massive form that I made you fill out before joining the call with me. And so there's 2 approaches, and we're still testing this. Either, let's say we have 20 booked calls in a day. Make it 10 and really qualify them. How much revenue do you make? Do you have, are you able to invest between $2,000 to $4,000 inside of your business? Are you the decision maker? Stuff like that, pretty much. And lower your lead volume, or do you just have somebody take that first call and just qualify them? So you take more calls, you bring more salespeople, and only if they're qualified and they're the right salesperson, then they go on to the second call, which is where our closer comes in and just closes them, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the process. We're still testing this.
So it's not that
a mixture of both.
You haven't. It's a mixture of both right now. Okay, you haven't decided on which one over the other, because there is pros and cons as are in most things.
And I mean, like one you can ask questions that don't scare the prospect away, and that's the main thing. Like if I say, are you able to invest X amount of money? Chances are, if they're not, they won't book the call. But if they're not willing to invest that money and they join the call anyways, we still might be able to convince them.
Exactly. Yeah. Some of the pre-qualifying questions could scare them away when you didn't need to, but it is like it's a trade-off, because like how much time are you going to waste, or how much time are you going to spend focusing on that. What's one mistake you see beginners make over and over again when they try to monetize their skills?
Ooh, okay. Doing too many things at once.
Yeah.
Like when I say doing too many things at once, I don't mean well, I mean it in all ways now that I think about it. Like, you shouldn't be taking sales calls, doing the operations, doing the video editing, doing this, because if you can spend your time somewhere else, do it.
Yeah.
If you can spend zero time on the business, do it. If you can invest more money and get more leads, do it. There should be no reason. People get stagnant, and that's the mistake that I made with Omni. We got to like 60K a month, I want to say, in revenue, and we just kind of stayed there for months. And it's like, if I want to get to 100K per month there, I'd know how to. And this was us for a while. And then it sort of clicked for us. It's like, okay, wait, we don't need to be taking all these sales calls. Because I was on sales calls, my co-founder was on these sales calls.
You were scared at that time that because you're the professionals in the space, if you bring on somebody, you're going to lose out.
That's
right?
exactly
But you just
it.
had to teach them.
Yeah, and it's less like teach them, but also there's people that close better than me out there in the world. And if we bring them on, what are the chances that I will not get a return on investment?
Yeah.
Those guys, pretty little.
How do you measure success now beyond money?
If we're talking strictly from a business perspective, I would say measuring success is measuring the thing that you need to do before you achieve the successful thing. So for example, if I want to reach 100,000 followers, my KPI stops being 100,000 followers and starts being
Output.
How many videos can I start to post?
Yeah.
Is my success metric 100,000, which is like this really long goal that you can't achieve in 3 years, or is it posting 3 videos a day?
You're breaking down a concept which I learned about when I was reading this book, Atomic Habits, very common. I don't know if you've read it, and it talks about in there with goal setting. If you make your goals, like you're talking about, this really far out there measure of success, maybe it's like 100,000 followers, or it's like a 6-pack or whatever it is, then every single day that passes by, week, month, et cetera, that you don't accomplish that goal, you're a failure. You've lost. But if you make the goal working towards the goal, then every single time that you're working towards the goal, you're a winner. You've succeeded.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is basically, okay, if I'm working towards that output, then that's going to get me to the followers. Then I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm a winner. I'm succeeding. It's not like you're a failure every single day until you had 100,000 followers. If you were at 0, then you got to 1,000, and then 10, and then 20, and it keeps on accelerating. You're on the path. It's just 100%. It's a lot like our perspective as Muslims when it relates to deen, because there's this saying that it's like the path to Allah is long, and the goal is not to reach the end of the path. The goal is to die on the path. So it's like the path is very long. Who knows how far you're going to get along it. Don't worry about where you're at in the journey and where they're at, and looking left and looking right and looking behind and looking forward, but look down and see, am I falling off, or am I straying, am I straying, or am I staying on the straight on the straight path. So definitely I would agree with that. And it's like when I asked you also, like you were saying, well, this is from a business perspective, but all of this is from your perspective. This is from Ibrahim's perspective, and anybody I talk to, I just want their perspective. So it's like, if you're thinking first from a perspective of like how it affects my life, my dunya, my akhirah, or if you're thinking only from a perspective of one or the other, I'm just getting that answer because it's like, that's going to tell me. I don't want to like have to shift your mindset and your POV. I just want you to tell me from your POV, because if we go around the earth and we talk to everybody and gather different POVs, that's how we really get like a comprehensive understanding of like how people think, why people think that way, and like what we can take from it. I think there's benefits in conversation and meeting and talking to people of all different walks of life and backgrounds, even if you're not in the same thing and same hustle as them, or even from the same faith as them, or from the same place as them. I think we can still benefit a lot, and if anything, we can at least learn how not to approach things, or how not to think about things, right, too. So
people get stuck in the today, and like, I don't know, I learned this before I even got into business, to be honest, where it's like, who cares, man? Who cares? Okay, like, this thing is happening. If it's not gonna affect you 5 years from now, what does it matter now? And it's like, Alex Ramosi said this actually, and I quote him. He was like, if you could be happy, or if you could be sad for no reason, why can't you be happy for no reason?
Yeah. Yeah, but usually it's not for no reason. People give themselves a reason, but it's like, then give yourself a reason to be happy. Yeah, there's definitely and there's both sides to it.
It's gratitude. I actually did a project on this in high school, and I came in front of the class before Andrew Tate existed, looking like Andrew Tate. I was like, look, the reason why you're not happy is because you're not grateful.
Yeah,
and I did a whole project on this.
You're saying a lot of the same things as the previous podcast we talked about with the friend Fareed, and he was mentioning the same thing, especially with working hard and grinding on something. I think in the first question when we were talking about your why and your motivation and why you have this mindset, he related it to this, which is exactly that. It's that if you're not working hard on something and hustling because of your inner motivation and also your gratitude to God for giving you these gifts and these tools, right? Then you're not being grateful. You're not showing your gratitude.
And when I tell people, I'm like, hey, like, there's a problem that happens, and they're like, it's not okay. I'm like, okay, it's not okay. Then if you don't think it's okay, then it's not okay. If that's what you tell me and that's what you genuinely and truly believe, then it's just not going to happen. So I just kind of agree with them. I'm like, do you think you can do it? No, I can't. Okay, you can't do it then.
Yeah, of course, I'm pretty sure you've heard this saying. A lot of people have heard this, that the one who thinks they're going to win or succeed and the one who thinks they're going to fail, they're both right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just how are you approaching that thing? And I think we were talking about this before we started when we were just chatting. And I was saying, I don't set expectations going into things. And that doesn't mean that I don't maybe have goals or plans or aspirations, but having an expectation means that, okay, like I desire for and want and expect and, foresee this thing to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then I'm going to be upset about it. I'm going to be let down. It's like it's a waste of a day. It's a failed venture or whatever it is. But that shouldn't be your mindset, because I walk into every situation. I think, okay, what can I benefit from it? Without a set expectation, I can go into this with an open mind, a positive mindset, and just be optimistic that if I go into here, I will benefit in some way. And what I basically think is that God puts us in situations so we can extract something from it. God puts people in our lives so we can take things from it, right? Some people are only in your life for a certain amount of time. They play their part and then they go. And your job is not to be upset about why did they leave and how I can get them back. It's to think, okay, in the time that they were in my life, what did I take from that? Maybe benefits, maybe things to learn lessons of what to avoid. But we try to extract what we can to better ourselves, and every environment, every place that we go to, every person that we meet is like a way that God gives us a tool or help into understanding our own lives.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a quick story. When we first started Grow Big Ventures, we were in talks to close this pretty big contract, we thought it was, and it was two partners, and they were both working really diligently on this project, and they've had previous experience and they've had exits. These super successful guys. And, we were in talks with them, jumping on meetings. We probably met with them, 4 or 5 times. And we had one last meeting, and we sent them the proposal, and we were going to close the deal, and everything was going to be great. We get a message from one of the co-founders saying that his partner got hit by a car and passed away. And so it's like, you're doing all these things, you're doing everything, you're going out of your way, and you're working on this project, and you're getting this much money, and oh my God, you have $2 million in your bank account. Great, phenomenal, good job, right? You get hit by a car, you're done. You're doing all this for what? So your reason, it's all fun and games, but what is your reason? Why are you here?
Yeah. You have to have a deeper why. You have to have a mindset where you understand that at the end of the day, all this can go, and what's left beyond that is only your deeds and what you've, how you've impacted people, and what kind of relationship you had with God, and how you displayed that with people. So,
life and business are very similar, because you can either build a business that outlasts you, and you can be helping people through a business, or you can build a mosque. A mosque will outlast you. And you're good, and you have the same thing. It's like, how can I exist in this life after I'm not there anymore? I think that's the goal that everyone has, and that's what most people should be thinking about.
Yeah, definitely. What's something you used to believe about business that you no longer do?
Everything, to be honest. I used to believe that profits mattered. And in a way, profits matter, right? Like if you want to sell a business and you want to have a good EBITDA, pretty much, and you want to have a good multiple, because when you sell a business, the buyer looks at your profit for the last 12 months, and generally speaking, you want that to be as high as possible. So unless you're looking to sell a business, profits don't matter. You don't the difference of making, $10,000 and $50,000, in a company that's generating $50K a month, is that you're spending $40,000 back into the business to make $250,000 another month, right? So anything that you reinvest, like you think of it like an investor, right? If you want to scale a company, how do you start thinking like an investor? How do you say, okay, I'm going to put my money here and walk away? Can you justify putting your money into this business and not putting it into a safe real estate property, for example. That's a question I always ask myself. All right, if you have extra cash, put it into a business, do something with it. So the perspective that changed was primarily that profit doesn't matter. And like, you're sort of like the wave that we're on right now is we're like, spend this money. Like, oh, spend it. We don't want it. Just keep spending it. Spend it back into the business. Let's scale this business. But even if we tried, we can't. So until you get to a point where you physically cannot spend that money, you don't know where to spend that money because you spent the most amount possible that you can spend. Like for example, if you're doing, let's say, again, I like to use email. Let's say you're doing email marketing and you bought all the domains from a specific website and they just ran out of domains. Like, you spent all the money that you could possibly spend. You can't spend anymore. Spend it all and then see what comes with it. Because chances are, if you ran a business before for at least 6+ months, spending more is always going to make you more money.
Yeah. This is like interesting in a good way, your business advice, because I feel like a lot of people will tell you, save your money and be careful what you're spending it on. But your approach has been telling me, okay, like, you're like all in on your businesses. Those are your babies. If you trust it and you believe in it, showing you that it's like, there's proof of concept there, then why not go all in? So I like that. I was going to ask you, what kills more businesses, ego or fear?
Oh, ego for sure. Ego for sure. Because if you fear, then again, you're running away from something, so you have the potential to find a solution. If you're egotistical about your business and you think you're the best in the world, somebody will outshine you.
But there's a caveat with the fear. If you're running away from something, you said you're going to find a solution, but sometimes you're running away from an opportunity, and there's no solution to running away from an opportunity.
Right, and so it just depends. Like, how do you define fear? Is fear something that you won't do, or something that you'll do regardless? So it depends on the person too. Like, I'm afraid of this, but I'm still going to do it. I'm afraid of jumping out of a plane and having a parachute on me, but I'm still going to do it regardless.
Well, obviously, I would think it's something that you won't do, because if you're going to do it regardless, you've overcome that fear. You still have fear. We say that all the time, right? Like, I can be scared, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go out there and fight and protect and strive. Or I could be nervous. We all get anxiety, fear, all these feelings, but we can't let it affect us to the point where it stops and it makes us to not take action. Mm-hmm. So what I think I'm trying to get at is, if ego is affecting you to the point where you're, making decisions that are brash and you're not really thinking the right way because you are too puffed up in your ego, and if fear is affecting you in a way where you're too scared to take that risk, that could be the turning point or opportunity that could grow your business or take it to the next level.
Ego will scare people away.
Yeah.
So if let's say I'm sitting here, I'm like, hey, dude, I'm better than you. I have the best business ever. I do this, I do that. You're gonna be like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I don't even want to work with him.
I don't want to work with him.
Yeah.
Right? But again, fear for me, it's if you have fear, that's okay. Everybody has fear. But if you have fear and you do whatever it is that you need to do regardless, that's where fear doesn't matter anymore.
Of course.
That's where you can start to use that fear as fuel.
Yeah.
Right. I like fear. I like being scared sometimes.
Yeah, it's fun. It's exciting.
Jump out of a plane every now and then.
Yeah. Have you? Mm-mm. On the bucket list?
I will say, I made a promise that if Omni hits a very specific number that I had in my mind, that I will jump out of a plane. And I made that promise because I thought we would never hit that number, and we hit that number, and I have not jumped out of a plane yet. So I need to jump out of a plane at some point in my life, okay? I don't know when, but I need to jump out of a plane. I made that promise.
67,000?
No.
67,000?
No, 67,000. No. I made that promise, and I made it to Jordan, and I made it to a few other people, but yeah, inshallah, we'll see.
Yeah. Any other like bucket list things, like while we're on that tangent, like random things like jumping out of a plane?
Living on a mountain somewhere. Mm-hmm. I said that before the podcast too. Dude, just make, let's say I create businesses and whatever. I go live somewhere in Switzerland.
No, yeah, now I know you're serious about it, because it's the second time you're saying it. You really want to live on a mountain.
I would love to live on a mountain. Maybe then I'll jump out of, instead of jumping out of a plane, just jump off the mountain.
You're trying to go up.
I'm trying to go
literally.
Yeah.
How do you balance short-term wins with long-term strategy and brand value?
Short-term wins with long-term strategy and brand value.
Basically thinking short-term versus long-term.
I always like to think long term. My partners always like to think short term. And
how does that work?
I'm always like, okay, I always have to be told to shut up, because let's say I'm calling, one of my co-founders, and I'm like, okay, so they give me an idea. I'm like, okay, great idea, and here's how we're going to execute. And then 3 months from now, here's what we're going to do. And then 6 months from now, we're going to hire this person. We're going to hire this person, whatever. And he's like, no, I just want to know how much money it's going to make me next month.
Yeah,
that's how they ask. So there's a balance of both, but they go hand in hand. If you're doing short-term things and you're making short-term strides, then eventually it'll become the long-term.
Yeah. What was the biggest bottleneck you had to break through when you moved from solopreneur to real operations?
Yeah, man, I still deal with this till this day. So when I was working by myself versus when I was working with people, I've always had a fear of asking people for money.
Yeah.
I was so scared to ask anybody for money. And I've said this before, where it's like, yeah, like you value yourself. And I didn't start asking people for money until I started getting sold myself. And I was okay with buying specific things that were higher ticket, more expensive. I was telling you, I bought a social media package, for about $4,000. And so it's like, okay, if I can spend that money, why wouldn't anybody else? And so now we're quoting crazy prices. Now, if I want to sell somebody on a 4K package, one of our packages, I quote them $6,000. So then the 4K seems a lot better. And so, we started just raising our prices like crazy, almost unjustifiably, to kind of balance the fear of asking for money from people. So,
you meant I was interpreting your answer completely different. I thought you meant asking for money like to fund a business adventure, but you're saying when you're pitching to clients.
When I'm pitching a client,
you were devaluing yourself, and now you're valuing yourself much higher.
No, yeah, completely, and
that's typical.
The reason why most people fear quoting a really large price is because they think that if they don't, that they're going to lose the deal.
And the other side I would say is they're not assured of themselves, right? They don't know if they can really deliver on that promise. Like if I tell you, I'm going to generate you X leads and Y amount of time, or I'm going to get you, this many followers, or this, like you put numbers and metrics down, and you're like, well, how can I even guarantee that? Am I just saying a bunch of fluff? And then so they're like, okay, like let me just bring that down a little bit. And,
calm myself down.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and. After we got over that, again, I just had to like jump on calls and overcompensate. I just started, I sent a proposal. I don't usually jump on too many sales calls, but I did the other day. And I quoted a guy for a package that usually costs $4K. I was like 6.25.
And he said yes?
He hasn't responded yet. But even if he doesn't, great, phenomenal. I quoted somebody a large price.
Yeah, now you're just getting that out of your system,
And I will say, if you quote somebody a large price and they say no, and you get enough no's, you'll figure out the strategy and the people that say yes to that price. And so if you don't quote that price, you'll never be able to sell that price because you don't know how to sell that price.
Yeah.
And so you got to learn how to sell that price.
I mean, it's like anything, right? I just posted a reel about this where I was saying that you just got to fail enough times to succeed, because all successful people do this. It's just failure in different ways and forms until there's no other way to fail left. Like it's process of elimination. So if you get a no from this many people or this many times, then eventually, like it's statistically, you're just going to have to get a yes at some point. You can't just keep flipping a coin and always land on tails. It's going to land on heads at some point.
100%.
So, how does your day look like when you're in like deep workflow, deep execution mode? Just give me like a kind of fast rundown. I want to go a little bit through these questions a little bit quicker.
Super different. I mean, it's. I don't even know what my day looks like before it comes. But generally speaking, I take lots of meetings. Yeah, I mean, I wake up. I'll start with that. I wake up. I go to the gym. Usually, I like to wake up for like let's say around 6 a.m., 6:15 a.m. for Fajr. Most of the time, I stay up and I just get a bunch of like work done, and
Barakah in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I have the reminders app on my phone with like 17 things that I look at every single day, and everything that I do I just check off. So it's like create sales team. It's different every day. It's like create sales team leaderboard, and I'd like create this like leaderboard. That's one of my things on my task list. And like whoever gets the most amount of sales by the very end of the month gets a trip somewhere or something like that, right? So it's just little things that move the business along. And one of the other things is like find CEO. It's going to take me months, weeks. Right? But
I'm assuming in that checklist you have higher priority and mid priority and lower priority. And is it one of those things where all 17 have to get checked or that day is cooked? Or is it one of those things where it's like there's the top of those 17 and if these 5 get done, I'm good? If I can get more, that's great.
I like when there's nothing on that list.
Nothing left after.
Very rare to have nothing on that list. So my day is just thinking of an idea, validating the idea, getting the idea up and running. And it's like, there's a lot of many things that happen along that process. It's like hire this position or bring in this person or send this contract or email this guy. And like, it's just the little things that I put on.
And anything that carries over is onto the next day's list.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like an average day. And, you know, like I wake up, you know, as early as I can. And then I go to the gym first thing I do after I wake up, essentially, and after I pray. And then I would just spend the day on meetings most of the time. And then from meetings, it's just busy work. And then
so what's that meeting block like until noon, 2, 4, 6?
It used to be a lot more, but it just depends. I mean, some days I take like 1 meeting, 2 meetings. Other days I'm taking, you know, like my whole entire day's packed.
So it'll just vary. And then when you're out of meetings, what do you like to move to?
Just busy work.
Busy work.
Yeah, like
anything that's going to move the needle in your business.
Exactly, writing down strategies, getting ideas, like sending messages to the team, telling them what they should be doing, or like requesting things. You know, things that'll 10x where we're at now.
And do you still have like your non-negotiables? I think obviously like with prayer and everything too, but besides that, like eating and like, you know, I don't know, anything else that you do that's out of your routine of just work? Because I know some people are cracked out. They're like, I eat 1 time a day and besides that I'm working. And I'm like, if that works for you, that works for you. For me, I'm trying to beef up. I'm trying to like, I have my other goals and everything. So I need to fit in my meals. I need to fit in my calories. Like, how are you with like other things going on?
I've met successful people that don't sleep much. I've met successful people that sleep all the time. I've met successful people that don't eat. It's just the only metric that I track. And you know, sometimes, and I'm starting to do this now, where I like put how much I'm working or exactly what I'm doing during what time frames in the day. So then I'll have like an idea of how much I'm working and how many hours I'm actually putting in. A lot of people don't do this, and it'll give you like perspective on what you're doing every day. But it doesn't really matter. Like, it really doesn't matter as long as you're putting in the work that you need to and you're working a specific amount of times. Great.
So what I'm getting is that it's not like a fixed block of, okay, it's time for lunch or I'm going to have lunch. If one day goes by and you just ate like 1 cracker the whole day and you were just so locked in and you don't care.
Then the next day I eat a whole meal.
Yeah, okay. So you eat based off of like hunger and like survival.
I eat based off of hunger, bro.
Yeah.
I eat a lot, bro.
And you work based off of hunger.
I work based off of hunger.
Yeah.
I like that.
How do you set your goals? I think we talked about it's long term, but are you like on some strict timelines, quarterly planning, or is it just like what feels right? Like, how do you go about it?
I like to set monthly, and then I like to look at the last 3 months, average those out, and then do 15 to 20% more the next month. And so, like, what most people think business looks like is they think business is just, if you're growing a business, they think it's just up, next month up, next month up,
linear.
Next month up. But what it'll actually look like is it's going to be up, and then you'll pause, and then you'll plateau. Okay, because you can only bring so many leads, or you could do so many things in a business in a single month, and then you're resetting. So you're getting your team used to the new clients, you're getting your team trained on specific things, you're creating specific processes or whatever it is, and it's going to look like this for, let's say, 1 or 2 or 3 months. Then you're going to push again.
This is actually how it works a lot of the times in the gym too, and with other things in life. You hit a new happy medium, and you get to this point where your body naturally has this tendency to reset. So if you bulk up really fast, you put on a lot of weight, and then you're not as consistent of grinding the gym every single day and eating the right calories and everything, you'll quickly fluctuate back to your happy medium. Like we have this, I'm forgetting the word right now. I don't know if you remember the effect of like when something has its like a thermostat where it sets back to a certain temperature, right? This reset. So our bodies do that too, and I think we do that in business and a lot of things in life where it's like, okay, even with earning, right? If you're earning a certain amount of money, if it feels comfortable to earn this money because you've been earning this money, it's what you reset to. You'll find that it wavers and it comes right back down to here. But then it's like once you enter the new like realm of yourself, you've become a new person, a person who you think has that belief and really understands like the business at a different level and is deserving of having that income, then you fluctuate back to that new
and it's interesting because it's always planned. It used to be unplanned where we used to grow, but now we sort of get to a point where it's like, okay, by this month we're going to push to scale. So it's not like let's scale every single month because that's really inconsistent, and you know you can scale quick and then go back down again because you don't have the right infrastructure, you don't have the right people. And so once you get to a point where you're like, okay, we're good, we can take on more business, we can grow more, then you push more into marketing, bring more salespeople, and it's just the same process over and over again. You're just placing people in.
Yeah. And so what habit has contributed the most to your consistency? He's going to say the word.
Which word?
Systems.
No. I mean, that's a part of it, but also it's like, I just got used to it. Like it's not necessarily a habit. It's just
the growing pains kind of stop.
I'll give you an example. So sometimes I'm a fat ass, and what I like to do is every single Friday I like to go to a gas station called Sheetz, and I like to go and I like to get a full menu. I pay $40 there to get everything that they have. Like yesterday, this happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Tacos. I got 4 tacos actually, and then I got the two chicken snack wraps. Then I got a burger. Then I got chips. Then I got whatever, and it's just like this big, massive meal.
Yeah.
And I do that every Friday, and I can't stop doing it. It's just a habit. I don't know. I just do it so often now.
Wait, what did that have to do with contributing to your consistency?
That's consistency. You just create a habit. No, seriously, you just create a habit. I think somebody laughing behind the screen. Genuinely, so like it is consistency, because the more you do it, if you do it enough times, you won't be able to stop doing it, and that's like a trait that a lot of people have.
So that client that you had that you gave the offer to for 6-something K, right? He hits you back. Hey, I've decided, like, I think I want to go through with this. Can we just hop on a call right quick? And it's a Friday, and you're like, hold up, I gotta go to Sheetz.
I gotta go eat, bro.
Yeah.
I can't get out of here, man.
Yeah. Like that's set in your schedule.
And I'll put it this way. Okay, let's say in a world where, I don't know, you couldn't pray, let's just say, and you don't pray for a month. Do you think it's going to be easier or harder for you to get back into prayer?
Ask it again. What
let's say, I don't know, let's say you get abducted, and you can't pray, and you lose that habit of prayer.
Yeah.
Is it going to be harder or easier to pray?
Of course, harder to get back when you lose the habit. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you do something enough times, it stops being motivation and starts being a habit.
Yeah, they say stop waiting on motivation and let the discipline form the motivation.
Exactly.
Because if you wait on the motivation, then it may never come.
100%. And that's why I eat my Sheetz every Friday.
When did you realize that you needed a team? And how do you vet people that you bring in?
Dude, this is so funny. So our first ever employee was in South Africa. So my co-founder Yarden, he flew out to South Africa, came back. He met our head of client satisfaction, Jessie, there. And at the time, she knew nothing about marketing, knew nothing about business. She just handled babies. Like, she took care of babies. That was her thing, right? So we're like, if you can handle babies, you can probably handle clients. And so we brought her in, and she's been there ever since. And it's like, you know, the way that we vet people, there's one of two ways. Either and now it's different. Now, because we can invest in really good people, now we bring really good people. But back then, we didn't have it like that.
You got to work with what you got.
We had to work with what we got in the cheapest way possible. So we brought her in, we taught her everything. And if you're a business starting out, bring people really cheap, train them really well.
Yeah.
Give them money.
Andrew Tate says this too.
Yeah. But if you have the revenue, A+ level talent, pay as much as you can for somebody.
What traits or values do you not tolerate in someone that you work with?
Initiative. If somebody doesn't take their own initiative and come up with their own ideas and do their own things and ask their own questions, then they're gone. So we made the mistake of hiring people too quickly, and that costed us. And you know, it's like if something is wrong and they know it's wrong and they don't fix it, that's a huge red flag.
That's funny, because that's now going kind of in contradiction with the advice I've heard previously when I was talking to somebody else who was on, and he was saying hire fast. He said hire fast and fire faster.
Hire fast and fire fast. If you can hire fast, hire fast. If you have a phenomenal HR team and you can vet people out.
Because you said you guys were hiring too fast, and I'm like,
we're hiring too fast. Yeah, and I don't have a skill of finding the right people all the time, because for me, like, I need to see them work, right? So there's some people that just have that innate trait where they're just like, okay, this person is going to crush it.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're right. Not every time, but most of the time. I don't have that.
You kind of want to see it.
I have to see it. Yeah. I have to see it for myself.
How do you maintain quality while scaling multiple clients or projects at once? Like when you start
tracking,
getting involved in a lot of different places at one time.
Yeah, you just got to track everything. You just got to have a specific
You got an app
KPI.
for that?
No. Should I have an app for it?
I don't know if it works for you already.
No, we just
somebody make it, right?
Yeah, at this point, right? No, I'm sure
there's apps exactly for tracking, but you don't use them.
I mean, like, we use the typical CRMs for our sales team, and we track like show up rates, close rates, and stuff like that. But you know, the main thing that we track is client satisfaction. So you know, this is a non-negotiable for me. I always like to know what the output is on a per client basis, have a specific KPI and say, this is what this client should be hitting. And it's your job as the account manager or project manager to hit these numbers, and also talk to them and see how they feel. Are they happy? What's going on? What's happening, right? So the easiest way to scale without dropping quality is to bring one, really good people, and two, just to have a sheet that actually tells you how well you're doing.
How do you decide when to pivot versus double down?
So here's the thing. You could do both at the same time. However, you need the resources to do both at the same time.
Right.
So if you are a smaller company, and it depends on which stage that you're at, if you're a smaller company and you're just starting out and you're looking to scale, double down, always double down. There's no need to pivot, not until you get to a point where you're out of the day-to-day, where somebody's managing everything for you, then you can pivot and focus on that new project without compromising what already exists. But if you have a CEO, for example, and it depends what you're pivoting to, if you have a CEO inside of the company, and let's say you own equity and you brought somebody to manage everything, which is what we're doing, we don't pivot until we get to a point where we take something completely off of our plates. So just to give an example, one of the companies that we're working with, we brought on a sales team, we hired the people, we did everything. Yarden was taking a lot of the sales calls, and now we're closing deals without us being there, and now we can pivot somewhere else. We naturally have to.
Yeah.
So
when you can take your hands off of it comfortably, then you can go over somewhere else.
Yeah.
I get that. How important has content been in growing your business, and could you succeed without posting?
Can I be honest? It has not been the reason why. If I shut down my YouTube, my Instagram, if I shut down everything, it would be irrelevant to
offline money
success. It would be irrelevant. It's online/offline. But however, I will say this: when I first met the person that introduced me to my business partner and the connections that I made, was actually through a podcast.
That's what I'm saying.
That I had, right? So use it to get connections. But you have to be really good, really smart, and really specific if you want to get leads through.
A lot of people, I think, they think with social media, when you're posting on there, you're going to get all these clients and all these leads and everything off of there. And often the people that tap in with your business or with your content and message you and start interacting with you and following you and you connect with are the people who are just like you. And you learn that your network can expand through this, and you can learn strategies that they're using for leads and clients and everything like that. But it's not actually the clients that you're reaching out through there. It's the rest of the people who are pushing out their content, and they see that, oh, you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, or I'm trying to do, or I was doing, and they relate to it. So I think it's just naturally we gravitate towards like-minded people and people who are doing similar things as us. So those leads are not really coming off of, because most of the followers, I would say, a lot of people tend to have are people who are not actually action takers, or people who are going to buy or invest in themselves, or be a client in any sort of way. They're just people following and watching. Maybe they're envious or whatever they are. So they're really kind of just like, you see your view count go way up, and then you're like, why is it this many likes and comments? Because people don't.
You're an influencer without any influence. That's what it is. Yeah, and it's super interesting. And also, it does help because, let's say you have a high follow count, but then you're doing some ads, right? Irrelevant to your, let's say, YouTube or social media presence, and you get a lead to come in and they do some research and they see you the way that you are, that's also branding. So your close rate will be a lot higher. And I've seen this in action with Zane.
Right. So I still do want to talk about content a little bit, even though it's not like your main lead generating source. When you're posting content, is your strategy more planned or spontaneous, or is it a mix of both?
So it's interesting. So I try to post as much as I possibly can. However, the strategy that I am taking is not something that's put into stone yet. And so the way that I'm fighting against that, and I told you I hired this agency, and what I did was I told them, the first 2 videos, you guys do it. So you guys script everything, everything A to Z. The 3rd video, let me give you the strategy and let me send that over to you, and then you guys validate it and just tell me that this works. Okay. The 4th video, don't tell me what to do. I'll do it myself. So I'm literally paying them to tell me how to do exactly what they do.
So how did the first 2 versus the 3rd and the 4th compare?
We haven't gone there yet. I just hired them. We're still to be determined, right? But I will say that they gave me a free video, and that video performed better than any of the other videos on mine.
Amazing,
So we'll see.
How do you stay consistent with content while still running a business? I know the business is the main thing and the content's kind of like when you have time for it, but it seems like you've been relatively consistent. I'll be honest, like when I go on Instagram, you're consistently popping up in my feed like regularly, and it's been that way for like a while where I'm like, you dude does not give up on posting content, and he's just hustling it and just spamming it, and I love it and I see it.
Yeah, it's tough. So the more that I post, the more I start to, I guess, learn what it is that I post. And so for me, that's why I want to get myself out of the day-to-day. In a perfect world, I have a team that builds businesses for me that I've hired full-time, where I don't even need to build business anymore, and there's businesses being built for me without me being in the equation.
Right.
And all I do is content.
Right.
So my 5-year plan is to never do anything ever again.
Yeah, so you want to be like in the position of these Alex Hermosis and these Iman Gadzis and these people who like, and I think the main thing they're doing all the time is just talking to cameras and going to events and letting people know like how you can get involved in doing what I've done and what I do. And the businesses themselves are like, they're well-oiled machines. They just run. And they can check on it.
That's the highest form of leverage that you can possibly have too.
Yeah, they say in the beginning, you're valued for what you can do. And then later on, you're valued for who you know. And then eventually, in the beginning, you get paid for what you do and what you can do. Later on, you get paid for who you know. And eventually, you can get paid for just who you are.
Yeah.
When you just walk into a place and it's just like, okay, like,
I like that.
Yeah, the brand precedes everything. How do you separate your real life from content life? Is there a separation? I feel like you're pretty authentic in it.
There used to be. There used to be a big separation.
When you were saying that you were doing the character, and now it's more like, I think just like right now when we're recording and you were just like showing what's going on and you're talking to the camera.
I get told I look a little bit mean when I am on content.
Kind of too bad for them.
And obviously, I'm not going to be like the way that I am with my fiance, for example, online that I am with with her, obviously. But there is a me for like, this is our first time meeting, okay, and you see how I am. Let me ask you this then. Do you think that there's a difference between the way that I am now and the content?
No, I mean, but then again, Good. I think we did maybe hit it off a little bit, and we're like, okay, like, this is one of my brothers in Islam. He's running a business. There's there's a lot of like similarities in the things that we're passionate about. So there's a reason why we could have a easygoing relationship and a better connection versus maybe you have somebody who's like following you and they don't really have any kind of connection to you and something like that, and then they meet you and it's a different relationship, right? So I think that matters.
Yeah, of course. And anyone who gives that act of like super serious and whatever on social media, there's people that I know that are just the most like ridiculous, out of pocket, insane. And I'm not out of pocket, but I'm sort of the same way too. I have a completely different personality.
Like you have your less serious side.
Yeah, and I'm like super goofy. I like to be. I love making people laugh. Yeah. And like my team knows that too. But I have to get to know the person.
But this is okay. So what I think I'm trying to get at is a lot of people who like to make people laugh and they have a goofy side and all these things. They don't put it out on social media out of fear that it takes away their credibility and how people will view them. They're like, oh, you're not serious and all this, all that. But then you do see people who display that side, and it builds a lot of trust with their audience. And it's like, okay, like this is a real person. He's not a robot. And he makes good money and everything. He's doing his thing, but it's like, he's not a robot. So that means like somebody who's just like me could do the same thing. So it's like, there may be a benefit to showing other sides of you too. And I think you do that to a degree. I haven't gotten the robot vibe. I've gotten the vibe that, okay, this guy's locked in, he's working hard. I guess if I gave any advice, if you were open to it, I would say, just show that side a little bit more. Just show people like the human side. What I like to do is post content as if like I'm not thinking too much about how it's being perceived. I'm just thinking about how, who I truly am, and if I'm presenting that person. rather than how people are perceiving that presentation. I think a lot of people care about, like, you young people are talking about aura, they're talking about all these things, right? They're talking about, like, yo, like, if you trip while you're walking, that's the end of your life. I'm like, bro, like, if I trip while I'm walking, bro, I will live with it. I'll I'll move about my day. I do not care about aura. I do not care about people's perception of me. Again, like I talked about, I care about how I'm being judged, and how my creator cares about me. But beyond that, if I'm moving about things in a respectful manner, a legal manner, a manner in which, like, the way that I'm carrying myself, I would respect that person, then I'm good with it. And how they perceive it's not really my concern.
So if your group chat got leaked, you'll be fine?
Yeah, the group chat is like, that's where everybody's just like completely unfiltered and unhinged, right? They wouldn't be fine. They would be cooked, but that's on them. Do you think all entrepreneurs today need to be content creators? I feel like I already know your answer is going to be no, because you're not pushing it.
I don't think they need to be content creators, but I think they should be content creators.
Yeah. I would agree.
It has the highest compounding effect.
How do you deal with criticism or hate online? I don't think you care.
I don't respond.
Yeah. How do you decide what to share publicly versus what to keep private?
If it's about my family, how much I make or what I have, it's mostly private.
The things Islam tells us to keep private. Yeah. What's been your most viral content moment, and why do you think it hit?
Oh, interesting. I had Lucky, one of my boys, being really zesty and drinking
the matcha
tea.
Video, right? Yeah, I remember this. I did see
matcha,
that.
But he had.
It was like he had his tea, and you guys had black tea.
Dude, I had like black coffee. I was just coffee, Red Bull, like freaking tweaking. And then Lucky's here putting like honey in his tea, and like it's adorable, man. That's cute. Yeah. So that video, but it had nothing to do about business.
No, I know,
so
but that's fire. That's exactly what people want to see. They're like, yo, these guys are just balling, but they're also
4 million views.
Yeah.
I got so many DMs asking me about Lucky.
Yeah. Like, is he single? What is he
single? Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh my God. How do you turn views and engagement into actual business? Have you figured that out yet? I think we're all figuring it out.
To be honest, I don't think I figured it out yet.
Yeah. That's completely understandable.
I assume a landing page somewhere. Just throw a link somewhere.
Take them down the funnel. What's the hardest part about maintaining an online presence while scaling a company? This is kind of related to what we've been talking about. But I think it was just like the hours in the day.
Not just the hours in the day, but also like your perception of yourself. If you have imposter syndrome or not. Like, is that truly who I am?
Fire.
So
fire.
You don't know if that's who you are or if that's what you should be.
Again, that relates again to what I was talking about, I think, because I get that all the time. And it's like, I see people who are doing more and making more and all these things. And I'm like, you know what? Like, but content is free, and content can affect anybody and benefit anybody in a way that I would never even have thought possible. So why not? You know?
I have people that know me, for you to your next question, I have people that know me that knew who I was before that can't see the new version of me because they only know that
I don't talk to these people. These people don't exist to me.
And so I'm getting comments in my Instagram and whatever being like, dude, you have this, like a lot of hate comments essentially.
They know you from YouTube or music or high school or this.
And they're watching. They don't follow, but they're watching. They're I get a lot of views from them. Thank you.
Thank you. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
I had a line about that. I was like, the people who are streaming, but they say that it's fun. If you had to rebuild your brand from zero today, what would you do differently?
I would think again about investing more inside of my business rather than keeping profits. So I'd say the same answer.
Okay, yeah. What's your approach to repurposing content, like long form first, then clips, or the opposite when you talk about your social media?
Provide value so that the value that I provided 5 years from now, whoever takes that value, I can invest inside of their business and potentially help them grow even further.
Valuable content. How do you balance being on camera with managing your authenticity? By
not having that imposter syndrome, again, by knowing who I am. And so
do you think you've conquered that and to the point where
I think so. I think so. There's still a little bit there where it's like, I'm not supposed to be making this much money, but I am, and I don't know how to say it, but I am. And so it's like, do I say that, or are the people that are making more than me now going to look at me and be like, dude, what are you doing? And it's like, it's always like these questions.
I think you had a reel that I was watching recently is talking about when I was making $0 a month, I didn't know what I was doing, and then it keeps on going onwards, and it's just like at each stage of the game,
You still don't know what you're
still
doing.
didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but like
don't know.
something must be working, right? So yeah. Do you freestyle most of your content, or do you like outline it beforehand? Like, I'm gonna make a video doing this.
I freestyle. I have a group coaching call that I do every 2 weeks. So I record those, and obviously most of that is freestyled, but I like structure. So I like to structure things before I go into it, because otherwise I talk about nothing. I have ADHD.
Yeah, I feel it. What part of your content process takes the most time, and how have you optimized it?
My content process, I would say editing. And the way that I've optimized it is just by hiring people to do the thing for me.
Outsource it.
Yeah, just outsource everything. I don't do anything.
In your opinion, what makes a clip hit? What are the elements of a high retention 0 to 20 second moment?
Yeah, man. I mean, the more that I think about it, authenticity and the hook. That's the short form.
For sure.
The long form is engagement. So telling them that there's something that at the end of the video that if they watch the whole thing that they're gonna get.
Yeah. Then like, ooh, let me stay around.
So if they can do better, and I'm applying this to my own content.
Yeah.
If they're gonna be better by the time the video ends, or if they're gonna learn something, or they're gonna gain something.
Yeah.
By the time they end the video, then it's probably a good piece of content.
Yeah. What do you look for when hiring your editors or clipping team?
So I look for somebody who's actually knowledgeable that can teach me, so I could take their process and do it myself in an affordable way.
Okay.
So I can do it scalably. I can, instead of having like 2 editors that I'm paying X amount of money for, I have 10 editors that I tell them what to do and they do it, because I know how it works.
What's your take on AI with social media content?
It's super powerful. I mean, not only does it give you ideas and content, but also you can scrape, for example, like if you're getting leads, you can also scrape information about people on their own social media and send them a message that's personalized to them based on their background and based on what they've done, recent posts and stuff like that. So it's super powerful. I use AI for everything.
Yeah, you've been seeing those Sora videos?
I have, dude, they're insane. Jake
It'll
Paul
be like,
doing
it'll be like with Jake Paul going to India or something. Yeah.
I have seen those.
How do you decide when a clip is too controversial to post?
If it makes people fight against each other, like anything that causes friction in the comment section. I know those get a lot of views, and I've created videos like that where it's like people arguing in the comment section, but it's not who I want to become. I don't want to put people against each other.
Okay. Do you batch record content, or do you film in the moment based on inspiration? Like, I know I just saw you do like a quick little reel, but when you plan it out.
I'm trying to record as I go, but I have this self-limiting belief of like, I'm not in a good place. Like if I'm on my house and I'm on my desk and I have a really weird setup, like my setup is like my blinds are down, really messy desk, white background, like super boring. It's like I have this self-limiting belief where if I take out my camera and I record, behind me it's not good enough. I
mean, I wouldn't say that's a self-limiting belief. I think that's actually very valid, because it's just genuinely true that like certain videos are going to perform a lot worse. When I was in Dubai at the Brand Me Summit, they were talking about that in content, and they showed 2 videos next to each other that this guy was comparing. The second one was the one he worked on. The one beside it, it's like the same frame. It's a person standing. Well, one was a guy, the next is a pretty girl, but the first one, it's a guy and he's standing in front of like a car or a restaurant, and there's a trash can beside him or next to him. And then the next one, it's the girl and it's like a Lamborghini and there's no trash can, and it's like better lighting in the restaurant. And obviously the difference in the videos was like night and day. The difference in the videos and the performance was night and day. It was like, I think 7K on one of them and then like 8 million. And so it's true that, your environment and everything that affects the performance of the video. So I wouldn't say it's a self-limiting belief. I would say that's valid, but I would say a solution to that is having your little content corner, or like your space, right? If it's at your crib or if it's at the office or wherever it is, having a space like kind of just like this where we can go and, pump out content no matter what the conditions are outside or what's the lighting or what's anything else going on. So maybe working on getting that set up. How do you decide what's the level of like, I know you talked about you don't want people fighting in your comment section and everything like that, but like how do you get, what's the type of engagement that you would go for? Then I'll reframe the question like that. Like what's the best way that you can farm that engagement while avoiding the lines that you don't want to cross?
I don't care about views. I care about providing value. And so there's like Gary Vee says this a lot, where it's like, you give until you can't, until they ask, essentially. And so that's kind of my main mantra, where it's like, not really worried about views. What I am worried about, again, not necessarily worried about, but the goal here is to help as many people as I can build their own businesses and be as effective as possible. And also, look, the way that I operate and the way that I work is if I help you succeed, I succeed too. If I don't help you succeed, I get nothing. Yeah. So it's like it's a ridiculously good offer,
Definitely. Man, I want to continue the conversation and just go for as long as possible, but
I do have one more question for you as well. What piece of advice would you give for somebody that's just starting out on social media and wants to scale and build their personal brand?
If you want to scale and build your personal brand, I think actually Jared and I had made a video talking a lot about this too, which is balancing.
Link is in the description.
Yeah, balancing your impact in your views. And I said be authentic and yeah, just be real, because people appreciate that, and provide value in your content. I try to make everything that I put out valuable. I try to make everything that I put out something that if I saw that, I would take something away from it that's beneficial. So I think in the beginning, a lot of people focus on virality, which is why are you focusing on that? Because we've seen that from Hollywood and rappers and celebrities and people who do just crazy stunts. You can go viral for doing something overnight, but then how long is that going to last? It's going to fizzle out, because as quickly as you went up, you'll go down, and people are going to realize all you're known for is that dress, or all you're known for is that prank, or all you're known for is that stunt. And the people who actually stick around and last are the people who are known for consistently providing value, consistently being, dedicated to their craft and doing what they do. Even if your videos aren't performing well, again, they say 100 people is or 100 views is not that much, but then if you saw a room of 100 people, you'd be like, wow, that's a good amount of people that are supporting me and viewing what I'm doing. So, change your perspective on it. Think long term, be consistent, stop caring about what people have to say and think, because you signed up for this. A lot of people want to do social media because of all the pros without thinking about the cons. My life is going to be on display, at least a large portion of it. I call on my Instagram, if you've seen the name, it says tip of the iceberg content creator. I put tip of the iceberg there because people only see a portion of who you are and what you do. I post all the time, maybe not even as much as you, so let me chill out, but I post a lot, and with how much I post, a lot of people think that they know me really well. They're like, I know all about Yasser. I know about his lifestyle. I know about who he is and this, that, and the third. But in reality, they just know the tip of the iceberg. They know about the part that I share, and I share that part a lot, but I don't share the rest of it. So what I'll say is be consistent, put out a lot of content. Don't care about what people think, because they're only thinking based off of their limited understanding and perception of you. So if you're keeping the things that need to be private, and you're sharing the rest, and you're thinking long term, and you're providing value, then I don't see why over time, logically, you wouldn't be successful with it. And success is defined differently by different people. But for me, if I've affected one person and provided them value in a positive way before I leave this earth, I think that's successful. But again, 1 million followers, 1 billion followers, likes and comments and support, it all could be cool. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to use it for my own ego. I'm going to use it to translate down the funnel into the business. So, I need y'all to tap in if you need halal brand scaling, or want to tap in with the best Islamic clothing brands.
Love it.
Or, if you need marketing on that side, we got Ibrahim here for you. We're going to do a bunch more conversations, bunch more questions. Definitely got to have you back on. We're going to get lucky too, inshallah. Yeah. QadrCast, man, thank you so much for coming by.
Appreciate it, boss.
And got to run it back again soon.
Inshallah.
All the best.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, bro.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.